Well, this year's Day of African Child will be commemorated with a focus on providing greater opportunities for African kids or children. The Day of the African Child is commemorated every 16th of June in memory of the 1976 student uprising in Soweto, South Africa, during which students who marched in protest against the poor quality of education were massacred by the then apartheid regime in place in South Africa. The theme for this year is Accelerating Protection, Empowerment and Equal Opportunities for Children in Africa by 2030. Let's now put this in bird's eye view as we have Ipoade Omilaju, Program Manager Health, Northeast Humanitarian Response Coordinator, ActionAid Nigeria, in the studio here with us. Thank you very much indeed for coming.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Now, since November 2008, 28 November 28, 1989, that the General Assembly adopted United Nations Convention on the Rights of Children. Have the rights of the children, the dignity and respect for their rights improved since then?
Well, for me, just let's start from whether the state, because that is at the national level, whether the states have domesticated some of this law. And out of 36 states that we have in Nigeria, we have just 24 who have already domesticated these various laws. I mean, this particular
since the assent of the law in 2003 by
Obasanjo. We only have just 24. And out of the 24 that have domesticated, very few are doing the implementation of this Child Rights Act. And of course, you can see several abuses on our streets. You can see children that are labeled witches. You can see children whose hands are burnt for probably stealing meat or stealing one thing or the other. You can see children that are being jailed for stealing a telephone or whatever. This tells us a whole number of things that since then and now, not a single person, to the best of my knowledge, have been prosecuted for carrying out such a terrible act towards a child.
So there haven't been improvements at all?
There hasn't been any improvement between that time and this time that we're talking about, between today, that we are discussing this issue again.
Now, okay, as you mentioned earlier, only 24 states really have been able to pass that law into, pass that bill into law in their own states. About 12 out of the 36 have not done so. Why do you think there is this sort of reluctance on the part of the remaining states to do so?
Well, it's difficult to be able to say what the reasons are. The reason could range from issue of culture, issue of religion, all sort of things. Of course, lack of political will. But I would rather want to pitch it down to political will on the part of several government. And you will realize that in many of the states, the government have changed due to political instability. Maybe it's a different party, and in most cases, the civil society will push this law to probably the third reading. Then there will be a change in government. The next government that comes, you start all over again. So it's been a very tortuous road for civil society, for children activists who want the right of those children to be enshrined in the law. And of course, it's really difficult to be able to say why these other states have not. But I want to look at it from this political instability and lack of political will on the part of these various governments.
Right. What do you think that we need to do to change the narrative from inaction to action? What do you think that we need to do?
There is no narrative that has ever changed if there is no policy framework. And this is born out of the political will of the various government. You can do anything from now to tomorrow. If the government of the day turns deaf ear to whatever you are pushing for, of course your guess is as good as mine. Yes, people can say that there are various levels of stakeholders for their various involvement. You're looking at religious leaders, you're looking at traditional leaders, you are looking at the homes as well. You are looking also at various actors, the development partners who can support some of this activity. But of course, all this will only change the narrative when there is a strong political will, the support. You cannot rule out the very strong support that every government needs to give. And that is just through the policy framework that is clear and not ambiguous, which we have in place.
Right. Now there are those who have the concern that some of these freedoms that this law, grants the children could make them grow wild. Do you agree?
Well, I beg to disagree. And I want to give you a typical example. Well, I grew up under a father that was very, very strict. And before you call Jack Robinson, your king is there waiting for you. And at the same time, I'm a parent as well. Yeah. And and I'm married to a wife that the father never caned any one of them, not a single day. And I have a beautiful wife complying with laws, and very, very, the moral standard is quite high. And when we got married, it's like, oh, I came from where a child is caned. She came from another angle. But we needed to sit down and ask, okay, how do we want to raise this? And by the grace of God, we don't cane them. We talk to them. You sit down each child. I have a colleague whose parents have also used the same approach. So it's not about caning, corporal punishment. It's difficult for you to be able to separate corporal punishment from a correction. And every act of punishment in court that is meted towards a child is to correct an attitude, is to correct what you have noticed in the character that is really not right. But the experience has shown over the years, researches have shown over the years, that the more you beat a child, the more the child wants to put up macho. And I'm sure you were, the secondary school that I went to, when you are killing a child on assembly hall, the guy has to stay and many canes, and of course the guys will kill him. Yeah. It's even worse these days, because it's about, oh, I want to show.
Sometimes you put pads, yes. You put oxygen.
I'm sure you've done it before.
All right. We must thank you very much indeed for coming to share your thoughts with us. Ipoade Omilaju, Program Manager, Health, Northeast Humanitarian Response Coordinator, Action Aid, Nigeria. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
All right.